Welcome to my first reaction video. I don't know why anyone cares what I think, but I've got some thoughts, so let's dive into it. A lot of this post that Grinding Gear released about their philosophy and why they're doing what they're doing, it's an interesting read if you care about what their point of view is. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. They are the developer of the game, you are the player of the game, it is their say as to what they do. Now, Grinding Gear must be commended for the fact that they do communicate with their player base, and if enough of Reddit and the streamers point out glaring flaws with something that they propose, they usually go back to the drawing board and they usually modify things with our help, with our collective help. That is a huge thing in their favor. Almost no developers do this. So before we get out the pitchforks and start trying to burn Grinding Gear's offices to the ground, let's remember that they are still pretty communicative. Even if we severely disagree with what they're doing and why they're doing it, they will tell us what their logic is and what their reasoning is. And they have before, and I'm sure they will again, admit when they're wrong and make changes. But at the end of the day, it's their game and their core design philosophy. Whether you like it or not, that's what they're going to do. So let's kind of move past that, because that's probably a huge source of arguments that I'm seeing on the Reddit, which are inevitably going to go nowhere and just run in circles and make everyone pissed off. The thing that I'm more concerned about is what is Harvest going to look like in 3.14. Let's start with bullet point number 1. So you are not going to get every single craft that is listed in Harvest. So some of the more powerful crafts, I'm thinking the Exalt crafts and the add influence modifier craft and things like this, those will still be there. When you do see them, you are most likely going to get them. Okay, that's fine. I do happen to agree with Grinding Gear here, and let me tell you why. I'm fortunate that I have kind of access to a wide array of players, from brand new players to excellent players or elite players, and everything kind of in between. And for anyone that was sort of not a established veteran of the game, finding a grove in the middle of mapping put everything on full stop, because they wanted to make use of every single craft. They didn't understand that, most of the crafts weren't really that great and definitely didn't need to be held on to in the horde crafting station, and they usually were not aware of or felt capable of using the Forbidden Trove Discord to trade off their most valuable crafts. So I think it was legitimate for probably a fair number of players that finding a grove is kind of a everyone full stop, and let's make the best use of all of this because this is a rare event and I want to maximize my efficiency and what I find. So I want to make sure that I use everything that I can. So yes, I think simplifying the rewards out of Harvest probably makes sense. So bullet point number 2, they're getting rid of annulment mods and divine mods. Okay, so the divining mods really shouldn't make too many people upset. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that need to have 6 tier 1 mods on an item and then also have all of those tier 1 mods be the top end of their role. For those guys and gals out there, that's too bad. That's a tough break. What really draws my attention on this one is getting rid of the annulment mods, because if you had to pick one specific thing about harvest crafting, annulment mods are what makes it so powerful. The ability to not brick an item and know you're not going to brick it by blocking out specific crafts so you can deterministically farm, essentially, other modifiers on your items. So what I mean by that is putting on target removable suffixes, so then you can target craft your prefixes by putting suffixes can't change. That is the reason why Harvest works. That's why it's so good, is because of the annulment mods. So not having those is the killing blow for getting easy 4 elevated mod armor pieces. Third bullet point, crafts that add mods to specific types, like physical mods, to items can now only apply to non-influenced items, except for the add an influence mod to an influenced item. Okay, let's break this apart into its 2 pieces. The influence mod to an influence item, still really powerful. Really powerful. And this by itself basically guarantees that if you don't know how to use the Forbidden Trove, you might want to learn, because that modifier is going to be pretty big with either prefix or suffixes can't be changed as a starting point for your item. So people are going to want that. So as for the first part of that sentence, where you can't apply those crafts, the augment crafts, to non-influenced items, what I take away from this is you have to pick a route, all right? You can't build your awakener, your double prefix awakened orb item, and then start crafting from there. You have to either start your craft as an influenced item, probably using an awakener's orb, or you have to build your item as, you know, getting your regular modifiers. Like if it's a weapon, you have to craft up your percent physical damage or whatever it is that you can still craft on it deterministically, and then from there you can make it an influenced item through, you know, a conqueror orb of some kind. So yeah, from grinding gears perspective, that makes sense. It forces you to pick a lane, pick a path, and you know, there are pros and cons to both sides. They like that. They want players to have to make a choice. So that makes perfect sense why they would do that from their point of view. And the final two are pretty simple, you know, more sacred groves more often, and the heart of the grove encounter can't randomly spawn anymore, bricking your sacred grove, which, I'll be honest, pissed me off whenever I got it, because it's a waste of time, mostly, as it is right now. So that will become a fragment boss, and you can sell it. Great. Another point that I agree with Grinding Gear on, overall this is undoubtedly a heavy nerf to high-end harvest crafting. Yes, it is. However, when you have items like this one's pretty tame. This one is fucking insane. Also crazy. And this one also is pretty nuts. These are just 4 examples that I found in, like, what is this, the past few days? Yeah, up to 4 days ago. There have been so many, like, triple, quadruple, elevated body armors. All of these items that, from a long-term perspective, for a game like Path of Exile, which is built on RNG, I'm sorry if you hate it, but the game is built around RNG. Deterministic crafting, to the degree that it currently exists in Harvest, is not good for Path of Exile. There are other games out there that are far more deterministic in your ability to achieve power spikes with your character and to complete your character. Path of Exile has never meant to be that, which I think was the point that Mathil specifically was trying to make, and I think perhaps Quinn was making that point too. But the thing to remember, and I think part of the dividing point of Reddit, is that there are a ton of players that consider themselves, and actually are, relatively speaking, casual players. They don't have a ton of knowledge on the game because they don't have a ton of time to play the game, but they fucking love the game nonetheless. And so for them, when you don't have the knowledge and time to acquire large sums of currency, and you don't have the time to learn the complexities involved with high-end harvest crafting itself, and you just want something that will allow you to kind of unbrick or make a pretty good item that did drop into a good item, they don't want to see that go away. And I don't blame them. I think that's a perfectly reasonable perspective to have. And I think it's important for everyone on the Reddit to kind of understand each other's points of view and where people are coming from. This kind of massive change where Grinding Gear has essentially given everyone a item editor in the game through harvest crafting, and then taken it away, that is going to cause problems. That's going to cause fights, because a lot of people like that. A lot of people, even the ones that say, like me, who agree that it's bad for the game long term, I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I love making just weird items that are super overpowered and broken. I think it's hilarious. But long term, would I want to do that league after league, where the only thing that really matters in the game is harvest crafting? Not really. That's kind of the magic of Path of Exile, I think, is that everything changes, right? League to league, new items, new skills, old skills get reworked completely. Unique items get reworked. The passive tree gets reworked itself physically, the layout of the nodes. Entire ascendancies get reworked. Everything changes in Path of Exile all the time. And for anyone who hasn't been around too long, and maybe this is your first Reddit explosion event of Grinding Gear doing something that seemingly pisses everyone off, and there's all these posts about how I'm never playing Path of Exile again, and blah, 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 Grinding Gear is the worst. Grinding Gear, I guarantee you, will implement something in April in 3.14, the next league, that is just bonkers. And take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying literally every single league has introduced something broken and silly and super fun. There are some leagues that were kind of meh, but overall, there is something in basically every league for everybody. Whether it is going back and taking a old build that used to be meta and making it really strong now with some new alterations, or taking the new meta build with new skills, Hydrosphere, looking at you, and going completely bonkers with them. Listen, I could go on and on. I don't like making super long, rambling videos, but I mean, it's an opinion video, so I guess that you're supposed to do that. I don't know. This is new to me. It's kind of weird. What I'm trying to say is, and not from an elitist or elite-ish point of view, is everyone just needs to chill out. Grinding Gear breaks their game constantly. And yes, there are aspects of the game that are fundamentally and legitimately, I think, in an objective sense, just annoying to deal with. What I'm trying to say is, overall, harvest crafting is still powerful. It's still going to be rather powerful. It wouldn't surprise me, speaking as someone who's been at this game for about 8 years, if Grinding Gear kind of meets somewhere in the middle. Maybe they over-nerfed harvest and they'll notch it back up a little bit, but they need data, right? We'll need to play at least some of the next league and see kind of how powerful it is. It is still powerful. And I believe Matho was saying on his stream that it's still probably going to be the most powerful crafting option that we have available to us. He's probably right, because deterministic crafting in any form in the game is really powerful. And finally, I guess the note that I'd like to end on is that there are legitimate reasons to be frustrated and annoyed or put off or let down or whatever it is about Grinding Gear's decision to do what they did with Harvest. More important than being right, which we don't really know who is right and who is wrong at this point in time, we can't know until the future happens, is to understand that people are playing this game for as many reasons as there are people playing, right? And there isn't one point of view that is more right or more better than another. The person who plays Path of Exile 1 hour a night or like 2 hours a week or whatever it is versus the streamer that is playing 10 hours a day, both of them are playing the game for very different reasons. They're accomplishing very different things, but they're both presumably enjoying the game and having fun with it and providing something beneficial to the community as a whole. So let's stop going after each other's throats over something that most likely will not kill the game, is still going to be very powerful, and will likely be modified in the future. So yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say on the matter. But leave a comment. I'm genuinely curious to see if people agree with me, if you know, what do people think? I think it's a really interesting topic to discuss because, you know, there's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions, and I think we can all hear each other out without being assholes about it. I guess we'll see. Okay, yeah. See you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.